Loyal viewers, for those who are just joining us, that master of all villainy, until I realized I'd be a superhero.
Megamind is back.
I'm kind of a big...
Keep the fun going with Megamind Rules, the new series. And you're welcome.
You're all so lucky. You have me as your hero.
Wow.
You were threatening the city a few days ago. Now you're defending it! Crime fighter, just like you.
You're adorable in a
Sustainability for extended universe. The casting choices for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate position the franchise well for a potential future expansion. Professional voice actors who are dedicated to the project can commit to multiple seasons, spin-offs, and related content in ways that might be difficult with celebrity voice actors who have other primary commitments. This sustainability is crucial for the success of the accompanying Megamind rules series and any potential future projects. The consistency provided by dedicated voice actors helps build stronger audience connections with the characters over time. Character arc potential. The new voice cast's interpretation of their characters leaves room for continued growth and development in future stories. Each actor has established their character's voice and personality while maintaining flexibility for future story directions and character evolution. This approach suggests careful planning and consideration for the franchise's long-term potential. Rather than simply producing a single sequel, the voice actors' performances establish foundation for extended storytelling possibilities. Technical excellence in animation voice work. Synchronization and timing. One of the most challenging aspects of animation voice work is achieving perfect synchronization between vocal delivery and animated character movements. The cast of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate demonstrates exceptional skill in this area, with each performance feeling naturally integrated with the animation. This synchronization requires not only technical skill but also deep understanding of the characters and their personalities. The actors must deliver lines in ways that match the animated characters' expressions and movements while maintaining natural speech patterns and emotional authenticity. Emotional range and character depth. Each voice actor in the cast demonstrates impressive emotional range, handling both comedic and dramatic moments with equal skill. This versatility is particularly important in a story that balances humor with genuine stakes and character development. Keith Ferguson's range is particularly notable, as Megamind requires both comedic timing for humorous scenes and dramatic weight for more serious moments. His ability to transition seamlessly between these different emotional registers demonstrates his professional expertise and character understanding. Production quality and professional standards. Recording standards and quality control. The high quality of voice work in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate reflects rigorous production standards and quality control throughout the recording process. Each actor delivers consistently excellent performances that maintain character integrity while serving the story's needs. This consistency suggests extensive preparation, rehearsal, and revision throughout the production process. Professional voice actors typically bring dedication to craft that ensures high-quality results even under tight production schedules. Collaboration and team dynamics. The chemistry between voice actors is crucial for animated storytelling, and the cast of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate demonstrates excellent collaborative instincts. Their characters' relationships feel authentic and lived in, suggesting effective teamwork during the recording process. This collaborative approach extends beyond individual performances to encompass the entire voice cast's commitment to serving the story and maintaining the Megamind universe's distinctive tone and personality. Conclusion. A new chapter in voice acting excellence. The casting of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate represents both a significant challenge and a remarkable success in animation voice work. The decision to recast the entire main voice lineup could have resulted in a disconnected sequel that failed to capture the original's appeal. Instead, the professional voice cast has created performances that honor the source material while establishing fresh foundation for future stories. Keith Ferguson, Laura Post, Josh Breener, Maya Aoki Tuttle, and the entire supporting cast demonstrate that professional voice acting can provide continuity, consistency, and character depth that serves both immediate storytelling needs and long-term franchise potential. Their commitment to understanding and embodying their characters shines through in every scene, creating an engaging and entertaining experience for audiences. The success of this casting approach has implications beyond the Megamind franchise. It demonstrates the value of professional voice acting in animation, the importance of character consistency across multiple projects, and the potential for building sustainable entertainment properties through dedicated artistic collaboration. As the Megamind universe continues to expand through the Megamind rules series and potential future projects, The strong foundation provided by this exceptional voice cast ensures that audiences can expect continued excellence in storytelling and character development. The voices may be new, but the heart, humor, and heroism that define Megamind remain as strong as ever. The casting of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate ultimately proves that great voice acting is about much more than name recognition or celebrity status. It's about understanding characters, serving stories, and creating authentic connections with audiences. In this regard, the 2024 film's voice cast has succeeded admirably, ensuring that Megamind's heroic legacy continues with both professional excellence and creative integrity intact. Through their dedicated performances, these voice actors have not only brought beloved characters back to life but have also established a new standard for franchise continuation in the streaming era. Their work stands as a testament to the power of professional voice acting and the enduring appeal of stories about redemption, friendship, and the hero that lives within us all. Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, 2024. A comprehensive analysis of DreamWorks' direct-to-streaming sequel introduction 14 years after the original Megamind, 2010, charmed audiences with its clever subversion of superhero tropes and memorable characters. DreamWorks Animation Television returned to Metro City with Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, released exclusively on Peacock's streaming service on March 1, 2024. This direct-to-streaming sequel marked a significant departure from its theatrical predecessor, both in production values and distribution strategy. Serving dual purposes as both a standalone sequel and pilot for the accompanying television series Megamind Rules, the film represents an ambitious attempt to revitalize a beloved property for a new generation while navigating the constraints of television animation budgets and streaming platform economics. The 2024 sequel picks up the story 2 days after the events of the original film, following the blue-skinned former supervillain Megamind as he adapts to his new role as Metro City's protector. However, his transition from villain to hero faces its greatest challenge yet when his former criminal associates, the Doom Syndicate, escape from prison expecting him to return to his villainous ways. What follows is a story of friendship, identity, and the complexities of redemption, albeit told through a significantly different production lens than its predecessor. This comprehensive analysis examines every aspect of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate's creation, from its unexpected development journey to its polarizing critical reception, providing insight into how legacy animated properties are reimagined for the streaming era. Production development and pre-production. The journey to Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate began not with grand plans for a theatrical sequel, but rather with a strategic pivot towards streaming content that would define much of the film's eventual character. The development story of this sequel is intrinsically tied to the broader shifts in the animation industry toward direct-to-streaming content and the resurrection of dormant intellectual properties. Early development challenges and industry context. The path to a Megamind sequel was far from straightforward. In April 2011, just months after the original film's release, DreamWorks Animation CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg made statements that seemed to close the door on future installments. Speaking about the studio's approach to movie genre parodies, Katzenberg commented that DreamWorks did not have plans to produce future films like Megamind, Monsters vs. Aliens, and Shark Tale, nor sequels to these properties. His reasoning was pragmatic and business-focused, all shared an approach and tone and idea of parody, and did not travel well internationally. We don't have anything like that coming on our schedule now. This statement effectively shelved any immediate plans for Megamind sequels, relegating the property to occasional video game tie-ins and promotional materials. The character continued to exist in DreamWorks' portfolio, with voice actor Keith Ferguson taking over the role from Will Ferrell for various video game projects and commercial spots. But theatrical sequel plans remained dormant for over a decade. The streaming revolution and property revival, the landscape that would eventually enable Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, began taking shape around 2020 to 2021, as streaming services increasingly sought original animated content to differentiate their platforms and retain subscribers. Universal's Peacock, launched in July 2020, was particularly aggressive in pursuing animated content that could appeal to both children and nostalgic adults. making it an ideal home for revived DreamWorks properties. In February 2022, the first concrete news of Megamind's return emerged when Peacock announced it had ordered DreamWorks Animation Television to produce a spin-off series initially titled Megamind's Guide to Defending Your City. This announcement marked a significant shift in how legacy animated properties were being approached, prioritizing television and streaming content over theatrical releases. The decision to develop for television rather than theatrical release reflected several industry trends. First, the lower financial risk associated with streaming content allowed studios to experiment with properties that might not guarantee the box office returns necessary for theatrical distribution. Second, the episodic format provided opportunities for character development and world-building that could extend the franchise's lifespan beyond a single film. Finally, the direct relationships between streaming services and audiences eliminated the complexities of international distribution that had initially concerned Katzenberg. Script development and story conception. By August 2022, writers Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simons had completed the writing phase, and the project had officially entered production. The writing team faced unique challenges in crafting a story that could serve multiple functions, continuing the narrative of the original film, introducing new characters and conflicts suitable for ongoing television storytelling, and appealing to both existing fans and new audiences discovering the property for the first time. The concept of the Doom Syndicate, which would become central to the sequel's plot, had deep roots in the Megamind universe. Originally conceived for the 2010 film, the Doom Syndicate was ultimately removed from the theatrical version but found new life in the tie-in video game Megamind: Ultimate Showdown. This decision to revive scrapped concepts from the original film's development demonstrates the thorough approach the creative team took in expanding the Megamind universe while maintaining continuity with established lore. However, the Doom Syndicate featured in the 2024 sequel differed significantly from both the early film concepts and the video game versions. Only Behemoth and Lady Doppler retained their original designs from the early concept art featured in the Art of Megamind book, while new characters Pierre Pressure and Lord Nighty Night, formerly Fright Night, were created specifically for the sequel. This selective approach to legacy content reflects the balance the creative team sought between honoring the original vision and creating fresh content suitable for contemporary audiences. Character development and continuity decisions. One of the most significant creative decisions during pre-production involved the evolution of established characters. The choice to rename Minion to Ulchum exemplifies the practical considerations that influenced creative decisions. Director Eric Fogel explained that this change was made to avoid association with the popular Minions characters from Illumination's Despicable Me franchise, which had debuted the same year as the original Megamind and achieved significantly greater cultural prominence. This decision reveals the challenges facing legacy animated properties in a crowded marketplace. While the change was pragmatically sound, it also demonstrated how external factors could influence seemingly minor creative choices. The renaming served multiple purposes. It avoided potential confusion, allowed for character growth within the narrative, and provided a plot point that acknowledged the character's desire for independence and recognition. The decision to focus on Megamind's adaptation to heroism, rather than simply presenting him as a fully formed hero, provided the narrative foundation for both the film and the subsequent television series. This character-driven approach allowed the story to explore themes of identity, friendship, and personal growth that would resonate with audiences while providing sufficient conflict to sustain ongoing storylines. Budget and production constraints. Director Eric Fogel has been candid about the financial constraints that shaped the film's production, describing the budget as minuscule and noting that it was shared between the film and the accompanying television series Megamind Rules. These budget limitations profoundly influenced every aspect of the production, from animation quality to voice cast decisions, and ultimately contributed to the film's mixed reception. The budget constraints necessitated creative solutions throughout the development process. The decision to recast major roles with television animation voice actors rather than retain the original film's star-studded cast was partly financial, though it was also justified by the actor's experience with the characters in other media. Keith Ferguson's extensive experience voicing Megamind in video games and commercials made him a logical choice, while his television animation background aligned with the project's production realities. These financial limitations also influenced the scope and scale of the story. While the original Megamind featured elaborate set pieces and complex character animation, the sequel focused on more intimate character moments and simpler action sequences that could be produced within the constraints of television animation budgets. Filming as an animated production, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate did not involve traditional filming in the conventional sense. Instead, the production process consisted of several phases of digital animation creation, from initial concept art through final rendering and compositing. Animation studio and production pipeline. The animation for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate was provided by 88 Pictures, with additional production services handled by Doberman Pictures. This arrangement represents the increasingly common practice of distributing animated content production across multiple studios to manage costs and timelines effectively. 88 Pictures, founded in 2008, had established itself as a reliable provider of television animation services, with experience in both 2D and 3D production. Their previous work included various television series and direct-to-video projects, making them well-suited for the budget and timeline constraints of the Megamind sequel. The choice of 88 Pictures over larger, more prestigious animation studios reflected the practical considerations that governed the entire production. The production pipeline for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate followed standard practices for television 3D animation. Beginning with concept art and storyboards developed by the creative team, the production moved through modeling, rigging, animation, lighting, and final compositing phases. Each stage required coordination between the various production partners and careful management to maintain quality standards within budget constraints. Animation style and technical approach. One of the most significant challenges facing the animation team was maintaining visual continuity with the original 2010 film while adapting to the technical and budgetary realities of television animation. The original Megamind featured high-quality 3D animation with sophisticated lighting, detailed character models, and complex environmental designs that reflected its theatrical budget and timeline. The 2024 sequel necessarily simplified many of these elements. Character models retained the essential design elements of their predecessors but featured reduced polygon counts and simpler texturing to facilitate faster rendering and animation. Environmental design similarly emphasized functionality over elaborate detail, focusing on clear storytelling rather than visual spectacle. Despite these constraints, the animation team worked to maintain the distinctive visual identity that made the original Megamind memorable. The color palette, character proportions, and overall aesthetic sensibility remained consistent with the established property, ensuring that audiences would immediately recognize the world and characters even if the technical execution differed from the theatrical original. Voice recording and performance capture. The voice recording process for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate took place in professional studios with the new cast of voice actors. Keith Ferguson, Laura Post, and Josh Breener worked to capture the essence of their characters while bringing their own interpretation to the roles previously performed by Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, and David Cross. Ferguson, in particular, faced the unique challenge of taking over a role that had become iconic through Ferrell's performance while drawing on his own extensive experience voicing the character in other media. Writers Schoolcraft and Simons defended Ferguson's casting, with Simons noting that not only does he have that experience of speaking in Will's voice, he's such a talented voice actor that he's able to kind of take the baton from Will and build on what Will created. The recording sessions were conducted with careful attention to maintaining character consistency while allowing room for the actors to develop their own interpretations. Director Eric Fogel praised the cast's ability to bring pathos to their performances, suggesting that the intimate scale of television animation allowed for more nuanced character work than might be possible in larger theatrical productions. Technical animation challenges. The animation team faced several specific technical challenges in bringing Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate to life. The need to create new character models for the Doom Syndicate members while maintaining consistency with established design aesthetics required careful balance between innovation and continuity. Lady Doppler's weather manipulation abilities, Pierre Pressure's hypnotic powers, Lord Nighty Knight's shadow manipulation, and Behemoth's lather-based attacks each required unique animation approaches. The team developed simplified but effective visual representations for these supernatural abilities that could be produced within budget constraints while still providing clear storytelling value. The film's action sequences, while less elaborate than those in the original, still required careful choreography and planning. The final confrontation involving the redirection of Metro City's trajectory provided particular challenges in visualizing large-scale action within the production's limitations. Post-production. The post-production phase of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate involved the integration of all animated elements, sound design, music, and final quality control measures necessary to prepare the film for streaming distribution. Digital compositing and visual effects. Following the completion of individual animation sequences, the post-production team worked to composite all elements into final scenes. This process involved combining character animation, background environments, special effects, and lighting into cohesive sequences that maintain visual consistency throughout the film. The compositing work for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate required particular attention to maintaining the established visual style while working within the constraints of television animation production values. The team used digital techniques to enhance the impact of action sequences and ensure that the Doom Syndicate's various powers were visually distinct and comprehensible to audiences. Sound design and audio post-production. The sound design process involved creating audio landscapes that would enhance the storytelling while working within the production's budget constraints. The team developed distinct audio signatures for each member of the Doom Syndicate, ensuring that their powers were as recognizable auditorily as they were visually. Dialogue editing and mixing required careful attention to ensure that the new voice cast's performances integrated seamlessly with the established audio aesthetic of the Megamind universe. The team worked to maintain the sonic character that audiences expected while accommodating the different vocal qualities of the new performers. Quality control and final preparation. The final stages of post-production involved comprehensive quality control measures to ensure that the film met technical standards for streaming distribution. This included color correction, final audio mixing, and format preparation for Peacock's streaming platform. The team also prepared the film for its dual role as both a standalone sequel and pilot for the television series. This required ensuring that narrative and visual elements would transition smoothly into the ongoing series while providing satisfactory conclusion to the film's individual story arc. Music. The musical landscape of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate represents both continuity with and departure from the original film's acclaimed soundtrack, reflecting the production realities and creative choices that define the streaming sequel. Compositional approach and thematic development. The music for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate was crafted by composers Matthew Jansen and Brian Winslow, who faced the considerable challenge of creating a score that honored the musical identity established by the original film while serving the unique needs of this television-scaled production. The original Megamind featured a dynamic score by Hans Zimmer and Lauren Belf that combined orchestral grandeur with electronic elements, creating a sonic landscape that perfectly complemented the film's blend of superhero action and comedic sensibility. For the 2024 sequel, Jansen and Winslow adopted a more intimate approach that reflected both the smaller scale of the production and the more character-driven nature of the story. Rather than attempting to replicate Zimmer's elaborate orchestral arrangements, they focused on creating memorable themes for the new characters while maintaining enough musical continuity to preserve the established atmosphere of Metro City. The composers developed distinct musical identities for each member of the Doom Syndicate, using instrumental textures and melodic motifs that reflected their individual powers and personalities. Lady Doppler's weather-controlling abilities were accompanied by swirling, atmospheric arrangements that incorporated both gentle breeze-like passages and more turbulent storm sections. Pierre Pressure's hypnotic powers received a haunting, music box-like theme that emphasized his mime aesthetic while suggesting the sinister nature of his mental manipulation abilities. Lord Nighty Night's shadow manipulation powers were underscored with darker, more gothic musical elements that drew from both medieval and contemporary horror traditions. The composers used low brass and string sections to create an ominous presence whenever the character appeared on screen, while incorporating subtle medieval touches that referenced his night-themed persona. Behemoth, as the most physically imposing member of the Doom Syndicate, received appropriately heavy musical treatment featuring percussion-heavy arrangements and low-end orchestral voices that emphasized his lava golem nature. The composers used these elements sparingly but effectively to enhance the character's intimidating presence without overwhelming the more intimate moments of the film. Musical continuity and legacy elements. One of the most significant challenges facing the composers was maintaining musical continuity with a beloved and critically acclaimed original score while working within completely different production constraints. The original Megamind benefited from the budget and resources associated with a major theatrical release, allowing for full orchestral recordings and elaborate musical arrangements that supported the film's epic scope. The 2024 sequel's television animation budget necessitated a more modest musical approach, relying heavily on digital instruments and smaller ensemble arrangements. However, Jansen and Winslow skillfully incorporated key musical motifs and harmonic progressions from the original score, ensuring that longtime fans would recognize familiar musical territory even as they experienced new thematic developments. Megamind's heroic transformation, a central theme of the sequel, received musical treatment that built upon his established character themes while incorporating new elements that reflected his growth and development. The composers created arrangements that began with familiar musical phrases associated with the character's villainous past but evolved into more traditionally heroic territory as his commitment to protecting Metro City became clear. The relationships between Megamind and All-Chum, formerly Minion, provided opportunities for some of the film's most emotionally resonant musical moments. The composers developed a friendship theme that served multiple functions throughout the narrative, appearing in gentle, nostalgic arrangements during moments of companionship and taking on more melancholic qualities during periods of separation and conflict. Integration with voice performance and dialogue. The world's greatest supervillain turned superhero is back, and this time, genius isn't enough to save the day. New threats, bigger laughs, and diabolical twists await as Megamind proves that even the baddest of the bad can be the best of the good. This is Megamind, 2024. Only on M Cinema Reviews. Megamind vs. The Doom Syndicate is a 2024 American animated direct-to-streaming superhero comedy film produced by DreamWorks Animation Television and directed by Eric Fogel. It serves as the sequel to the 2010 film Megamind and also acts as the pilot for the television series Megamind Rules, which premiered the same day. Featuring the voices of Keith Ferguson, Laura Post, and Josh Breener. The story follows Megamind, now a superhero, as he defends Metro City against his former allies in the Doom Syndicate, a team of supervillains. 2 days after the events of the first film, Megamind has fully taken on the role of Metro City's defender. Alongside All-Chum, formerly Minion, he foils a criminal trio known as the Go Fish Gang from stealing a priceless fish. For his heroics, Megamind is awarded the key to the city. However, Chum feels unappreciated and expresses his wish to officially become Megamind's sidekick. When Megamind dismisses the idea, Chum decides to look for other opportunities, which Megamind reluctantly accepts. Soon after, the Doom Syndicate, a team of villains consisting of Lady Doppler, Pierre Pressure, Behemoth, and Lord Nighty Night, and Megamind's former Asa break out of prison to meet him. Believing his new hero role is just part of a grand evil scheme, they begin wreaking havoc across the city and challenge Megamind to prove his loyalty to villainy by robbing a bank. Struggling with the task, Megamind is aided by Keiko Morita, a devoted fan who helps him stage a fake robbery. Meanwhile, Chum starts working at a run-down diner. To maintain his cover, Megamind reveals one of his abandoned villainous plans, launching Metro City to the moon using rockets hidden beneath the ground. The Doom Syndicate eagerly prepares to activate the plan, but Megamind tries to stall them. Growing suspicious, They vote to carry out the launch themselves or destroy the city. Realizing he cannot stop them alone, Megamind seeks Chum at his diner, only to regret letting him go when he sees how much better Chum seems without him. The Doom Syndicate eventually uncovers Megamind's deception and overpowers him. Wounded and disheartened, Megamind hides in an alley until Roxanne and Keiko find him, reminding him that true heroes ask for help. Chum then returns, and Megamind finally acknowledges him as his true sidekick. Reinvigorated, the group comes together, appointing Keiko as a new member of the team, and prepare to confront the Syndicate. As the villains attempt to launch Metro City into space, Lady Doppler triggers the system while Megamind and Roxanne hold them off, buying time for Chum to intervene. Although the launch begins and the city starts ascending, Chum manages to shut it down, but Metro City now plummets back toward Earth. Acting quickly, Megamind lures the Syndicate into a construction site, where, with the help of Roxanne and Keiko, they defeat each villain one by one. The heroes then manage to safely redirect Metro City back to the ground. In the aftermath, Roxanne is elected the new mayor, Keiko activates a new hero signal, and Megamind proudly embraces his place as the leader of a real superhero team. The complete casting guide to Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, 2024, a new era of voice acting excellence. Introduction. A bold new chapter in animation when DreamWorks Animation announced the return of one of their most beloved characters in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. Fans around the world held their breath in anticipation. The 2024 direct-to-streaming sequel, which premiered exclusively on Peacock on March 1, 2024, marked a significant milestone in the franchise's evolution. However, what caught many by surprise was the complete overhaul of the voice cast. Departing from the star-studded lineup of the original 2010 film that featured Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Jonah Hill, and David Cross, this comprehensive exploration of the 2024 film's casting choices reveals not just who replaced the beloved original voices, but why these decisions were made, how they impact the storytelling, and what they mean for the future of the Megamind franchise. The casting of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate represents a fascinating case study in animation voice work, demonstrating how different performers can breathe new life into established characters while maintaining their essential spirit and appeal. The challenge of recasting iconic characters. The decision to recast the entire main voice lineup was undoubtedly one of the most controversial and challenging aspects of bringing Megamind back to screens. The original 2010 film's success was built not just on its innovative storytelling and stunning animation, but on the distinctive chemistry between its voice cast. Will Ferrell's portrayal of the titular blue-headed supervillain-turned-hero was particularly iconic, bringing his signature comedic timing and unexpected vulnerability to the character. When DreamWorks Animation and Peacock made the decision to continue the Megamind story, they faced the complex challenge of honoring the original while creating something fresh and sustainable for a new era of content consumption. The shift from theatrical releases to streaming content, combined with budget considerations and scheduling conflicts, necessitated a complete reimagining of the voice cast. This recasting decision reflects broader trends in the animation industry, where the economics of streaming content often require different approaches to talent acquisition. While A-list celebrities bring prestige and marketing appeal to theatrical releases, streaming content often benefits from the flexibility and cost-effectiveness of professional voice actors who can commit to ongoing series work and promotional activities. Keith Ferguson, stepping into Megamindscape. The actor behind the Blue Hero leading the new cast is Keith Ferguson, taking on the monumental task of voicing Megamind himself. Ferguson brings a wealth of experience to the role, having previously worked in animation voiceover for many years. Interestingly, Ferguson is not entirely new to the Megamind universe. He previously voiced the character in video game adaptations tied to the original film, making his casting a bridge between the original media franchise and its new iteration. Ferguson's approach to Megamind demonstrates a deep understanding of the character's complexity. Where Will Ferrell brought his distinctive improvisational comedy style and slightly nasal delivery, Ferguson opts for a more traditional superhero vocal approach while maintaining the character's comedic sensibilities. His performance captures Megamind's journey from supervillain to superhero, emphasizing the character's growth and maturation since the events of the original film. Ferguson's animation legacy. Keith Ferguson's extensive background in animation voice work includes notable roles in series such as Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, where he voiced Blue, and various characters in This Fairly Odd Parents. His experience in comedy animation proves invaluable in handling Megamind's comedic moments while also delivering the dramatic weight required for the character's heroic transformation. Ferguson's casting also reflects DreamWorks' strategic decision to work with voice actors who understand the medium's specific demands. Unlike film actors who might approach voice work as a side project, Ferguson brings the dedication and technical expertise of someone whose primary focus is animation voice acting. This professional approach is evident in the consistency of his performance across both the film and the accompanying Megamind rules. Series, performance analysis and character development in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. Ferguson's Megamind is notably more confident and heroically minded than Farrell's original portrayal. This evolution reflects the character's journey from the events of the first film, where Megamind discovered his capacity for heroism. Ferguson captures this growth while maintaining the character's endearing quality as his love of dramatic presentations, his scientific genius, and his underlying good heart. Ferguson's vocal performance particularly shines in scenes where Megamind must balance his new heroic identity with the need to convincingly portray his old villainous persona to fool the Doom Syndicate. These moments require subtle vocal shifts that Ferguson handles with professional skill, demonstrating the depth of thought he's brought to understanding the character. Laura Post, bringing Roxanne Ritchie to life. A new voice for a strong character. Laura Post takes on the role of Roxanne Ritchie, the intrepid reporter who has evolved from Megamind's frequent captive to his ally and friend. Post, known for her work in anime dubbing and various animation projects, brings a different energy to Roxanne compared to Tina Fey's original portrayal, where Fey emphasized Roxanne's wit and slight exasperation with the supervillain dynamics around her. Post focuses more on the character's professional competence and genuine warmth toward her friends. This interpretation aligns well with the sequel's themes of friendship and teamwork, positioning Roxanne as a central figure in Megamind's support network. Post's approach to character continuity. Laura Post faced the particular challenge of following Tina Fey, whose distinctive comedic voice and delivery style were integral to the original Roxanne's appeal. Rather than attempting to mimic Fey's performance, Post developed her own interpretation that honors the character's essential traits while bringing fresh perspective to the role. Post's Roxanne is more action-oriented and decisive than the original version, reflecting the character's growth and her deeper involvement in Megamind's heroic activities. This evolution serves the story well, as the sequel requires Roxanne to be more of an active participant in the adventure rather than primarily a victim or observer. Professional background and voice acting expertise. Laura Post's extensive experience in voice acting, particularly in anime dubbing, proves valuable in handling Roxanne's emotional range throughout the film. Her work on series such as Sailor Moon and various video game projects has honed her ability to convey complex emotions through voice alone, a skill that serves the character well in her more dramatic moments. Post's professional approach to voice acting also ensures consistency across the various Megamind projects, as she continues to voice Roxanne in the accompanying Megamind rules series. This continuity is crucial for maintaining character integrity across multiple pieces of related content. Josh Breener, the heart of All-Chum, bringing warmth to the sidekick role. Josh Breener voices All-Chum, formerly known as Minion, Megamind's loyal fish in a robot suit companion. Breener, known for his roles in Silicon Valley and various comedy projects, brings a distinctly different energy to the character compared to David Cross's original portrayal, where Cross emphasized the character's dry wit and occasional exasperation with Megamind's schemes. Breener focuses more on All-Chum's loyalty, enthusiasm, and genuine affection for his friend. This interpretation works well for the sequel's themes, as All Chum serves as both comic relief and emotional anchor for Megamind's heroic journey, character evolution and performance. Breener's All Chum reflects the character's growth alongside Megamind's transformation from villain to hero. The character is more confident and proactive in the sequel, often serving as Megamind's conscience and strategic advisor. Breener handles this evolution skillfully, maintaining the character's essential sweetness while adding layers of wisdom and capability. The dynamic between Ferguson's Megamind and Breener's All Chum forms the emotional core of the film. Their friendship, tested by the return of the Doom Syndicate, provides many of the story's most touching moments. Breener's performance captures both the humor and genuine emotion in this relationship, making their bond feel authentic and earned. Comedy and character chemistry. Josh Breener's comedy background serves him well in delivering All Chum's humorous moments without overshadowing the character's more serious contributions to the story. His timing in comedic scenes, particularly those involving the character's fish-related quirks and robot body imitations, demonstrates his understanding of animation comedy's specific rhythm and pacing. The chemistry between Breener and Ferguson develops throughout the film, with both actors clearly understanding their characters' relationship dynamics. Their scenes together feel natural and unforced, suggesting extensive collaboration and rehearsal to achieve the right balance of humor and heart. Maya Aoki Tuttle. Introducing Keiko Morita. A new addition to the team. Maya Aoki Tuttle voices Keiko Morita, a new character introduced in the 2024 sequel. Keiko serves as both a new friend to the group and a representation of the younger generation that looks up to Megamind as a hero. Tuttle's performance brings energy and authenticity to this original character, helping to expand the Megamind universe beyond its original cast. Keiko's role in the story is significant as she represents the innocent civilians that Megamind now protects, while also serving as a bridge between the older characters and a potential younger audience. Tuttle handles this responsibility well, making Keiko feel like a natural addition to the group rather than a forced attempt to appeal to demographic considerations. Character development and story integration. Tuttle's portrayal of Keiko emphasizes the character's intelligence, bravery, and genuine admiration for Megamind's transformation. These qualities make her a valuable team member rather than merely a sidekick or mascot. Her interactions with the established characters feel organic, suggesting careful attention to character development and story integration. The character also serves important plot functions, often providing the fresh perspective needed to solve problems or the emotional stakes that drive the heroes to action. Tuttle's performance ensures that these story beats land effectively, making Keiko's presence feel essential rather than superfluous. The Doom Syndicate, Villainous voice work. Emily Tynan as Lady Doppler. Emily Tynan brings Lady Doppler to life with a performance that captures both the character's meteorological powers and her dramatic personality. As one of Megamind's former villainous teammates, Lady Doppler must be both threatening enough to pose a real challenge and entertaining enough to maintain the film's comedic tone. Tynan balances these requirements skillfully, creating a memorable antagonist. Lady Doppler's weather-controlling abilities provide numerous opportunities for creative voice work, as Tynan must convey the character's power while maintaining her distinct personality. The actress's performance suggests careful attention to how vocal delivery can enhance the visual spectacle of the character's abilities. Talon Warburton as Lord Nighty Night. Talon Warburton, son of renowned voice actor Patrick Warburton, voices Lord Nighty Night, bringing both gravitas and humor to the medieval-themed villain. The character's anachronistic nature a knight in a modern superhero story requires a performance that acknowledges the absurdity while maintaining the character's dignity and threat level. Warburton's approach emphasizes Lord Nighty Night's pompous nobility and old-fashioned sense of honor, traits that make him both formidable and comically out of place in the modern world. His performance captures the character's internal conflict between loyalty to his old team and recognition of their increasingly destructive methods. Scott Adsit as Pierre Pressure. Scott Adsit, known for his work on 30 Rock and as the voice of Baymax in Big Hero 6, brings his distinctive vocal style to Pierre Pressure, the mime-themed villain. The character's nature as a mostly silent performer creates unique challenges for voice acting, requiring Adset to convey personality and motivation through minimal dialogue and exaggerated sounds. Adset's experience with both live-action and animation voice work serves him well in this role, as he must create a memorable character despite the inherent limitations of the mime concept. His performance finds creative ways to make peer pressure both funny and genuinely menacing when needed. Chris Sullivan as Behemoth. Chris Sullivan voices Behemoth, the physically imposing member of the Doom Syndicate. Sullivan's deep, resonant voice perfectly matches the character's massive size and strength, while his performance adds layers of personality that prevent Behemoth from being merely a one-dimensional bruiser. The character requires a balance between intimidating physical presence and the childlike loyalty that made him follow Megamind in the first place. Sullivan's performance captures both aspects, making Behemoth a sympathetic character despite his role as an antagonist. Supporting cast excellence. Tony Hale's multiple roles. Tony Hale, Emmy Award winner known for Arrested Development and Veep, contributes multiple voices to the film, including Mr. Donut and various additional characters. Hale's versatility as a voice actor allows him to create distinct personalities for each role, demonstrating the depth of talent assembled for the project. Hale's involvement also adds star power to the supporting cast, helping to balance the departure from the original film's A-list celebrity voices. His professional approach and comedy expertise elevate every scene he appears in, regardless of the character he's voicing. Adam Lambert's musical contribution. Adam Lambert's involvement in the project brings both vocal talent and celebrity recognition to the cast. His role, while not extensively detailed in available materials, likely takes advantage of his musical background and distinctive vocal style. Lambert's participation suggests the film's commitment to maintaining entertainment value across all aspects of its production. Janine Mason's professional touch. Janine Mason's contribution to the voice cast adds another layer of professional polish to the ensemble. Known for her work in both acting and dancing, Mason brings versatility and energy to her role, contributing to the film's overall quality and entertainment value. Production context and industry implications. The economics of streaming animation. The casting choices for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate reflect broader changes in how animated content is produced and distributed in the streaming era. Unlike theatrical releases that rely heavily on star power for marketing, streaming content often prioritizes consistency, availability, and cost-effectiveness in voice casting. This approach allows for more sustainable content creation, as professional voice actors can commit to multiple projects and extended production schedules without the complications that often arise when working with busy film and television stars. The result is often more consistent character portrayals and greater flexibility in story development. Professional voice acting vs. celebrity casting. The shift from celebrity voices to professional voice actors represents a return to animation's roots, where character consistency and vocal skill often matter more than name recognition. Professional voice actors like Keith Ferguson, Laura Post, and Josh Breener bring specialized skills and dedicated focus to their roles that can result in more nuanced and sustainable character development. This approach also allows for better integration between different pieces of media within the same franchise. The voice actors in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate continued their roles in the related Megamind Rules series, providing continuity that would be difficult to achieve with celebrity voice actors who have other primary commitments. Fan reception and adaptation challenges. The recasting of beloved characters always presents risks, as fans often develop strong attachments to original performances. However, the professional approach taken by the new voice cast, combined with their respect for the source material and original characterizations, helps to minimize these concerns. The key to successful recasting lies in understanding what made the original performances work while bringing fresh perspective to the characters. Each of the new voice actors demonstrates this understanding, honoring the essence of their characters while adding their own professional expertise and interpretation. Technical aspects of voice direction and coaching. The success of the new voice cast owes much to the direction provided by the film's creative team. Voice direction in animation requires careful attention to character consistency, emotional authenticity, and technical delivery. The uniformly high quality of performances in Megamind vs. The Doom Syndicate suggests exceptional direction and coaching throughout the recording process. The director's ability to help each actor find their character's voice while maintaining the overall tone and style of the Megamind universe demonstrates professional expertise in animation voice direction. This behind-the-scenes work is crucial but often overlooked in discussions of voice acting quality. Recording technology and techniques. Modern voice recording for animation has evolved significantly since the original Megamind film was produced in 2010. The 2024 sequel likely benefited from advances in recording technology, post-production techniques, and remote recording capabilities that became essential during the pandemic era. These technical improvements allow for greater flexibility in recording schedules, better sound quality, and more efficient production processes. The voice actors in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate likely worked with state-of-the-art equipment and techniques that enhanced the final product's quality and consistency. Character development through voice. Megamind's heroic evolution. Keith Ferguson's portrayal of Megamind captures the character's growth from the original film while establishing new dimensions for future stories. The vocal performance reflects Megamind's increased confidence in his heroic role while maintaining the vulnerability and genuine care for others that made the character endearing. Ferguson's interpretation suggests extensive character study and collaboration with the creative team to understand Megamind's emotional journey. The result is a performance that feels both familiar and fresh, honoring the character's past while establishing his future potential. Supporting character growth. Each supporting character in the new cast demonstrates similar attention to character development and evolution. Laura Post's Roxanne shows increased agency and confidence. Josh Breener's Alchum displays greater wisdom and initiative, and Maya Aoki Tuttle's Keiko brings fresh energy and perspective to the group dynamic. These character developments are communicated primarily through voice acting, as the actors must convey personality growth and relationship changes without the benefit of live-action physical performance. The success of these portrayals demonstrates the skill and dedication of the entire voice cast. Cultural impact and representation. Diversity in voice casting. The 2024 cast brings increased diversity to the Megamind universe, with actors from various backgrounds contributing their talents to the project. This diversity reflects broader industry trends toward more inclusive casting while also bringing authentic representation to the characters and story. Maya Aoki Tuttle's casting as Keiko Morita, for example, brings authentic cultural representation to the character while also providing opportunities for storylines that reflect diverse perspectives and experiences. This approach enriches the Megamind universe while staying true to its core themes of acceptance and heroism, accessibility and global appeal. Professional voice actors often bring skills that enhance the accessibility and global appeal of animated content. Their experience with clear diction, emotional expression, and technical delivery makes the content more accessible to diverse audiences, including those for whom English might be a second language. The cast's professional approach also facilitates international dubbing and localization efforts, as clear, well-delivered original performances provide better foundation for translation and cultural adaptation in different markets. Future implications and franchise potential. The musical score for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate required careful integration with the new voice cast's performances, ensuring that the music supported rather than competed with the dialogue and character interactions that drive much of the film's appeal. The composers worked closely with the audio post-production team to create dynamic arrangements that could accommodate the pacing and energy of the voice performances while maintaining their own musical integrity. Keith Ferguson's interpretation of Megamind influenced the musical approach to the title character, with the score reflecting his slightly different vocal quality and performance style compared to Will Ferrell's original portrayal. The composers created arrangements that supported Ferguson's performance choices while maintaining enough continuity with established musical themes to preserve character recognition. Similarly, Laura Post's portrayal of Roxanne Ritchie and Josh Breener's interpretation of Alchum influenced their respective musical themes, with the composers adapting existing motifs to complement the new performances while preserving the essential character relationships that define the Megamind universe. Technical production and orchestration. The technical production of the music for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate reflects the broader production constraints that influenced every aspect of the film's creation, working within the limitations of a television animation budget. The composers relied primarily on digital orchestration and sampling technology to create full-sounding arrangements without the expense of live or orchestral recording. This approach required particular skill in orchestration and digital manipulation to achieve convincing results that would not distract from the storytelling. Jansen and Winslow employed sophisticated sampling libraries and digital processing techniques to create orchestral textures that, while not matching the sonic quality of live recording, provided appropriate musical support for the film's narrative needs. The composers also had to consider the technical requirements of streaming distribution, ensuring that their music would translate effectively across various playback systems and internet connection qualities that Peacock subscribers might experience. This practical consideration influenced decisions about dynamic range, frequency content, and overall mix balance. Musical storytelling and narrative support throughout Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. The musical score serves essential storytelling functions beyond mere atmospheric enhancement. The composers used their thematic material to provide emotional guidance for audiences, helping to clarify character relationships and dramatic developments that might otherwise be ambiguous in the context of simplified animation and streamlined dialogue. The film's central conflict, involving Megamind's struggle to convince the Doom Syndicate of his genuine heroic transformation while secretly working to prevent their destructive schemes, provided opportunities for sophisticated musical storytelling. The composers created arrangements that could simultaneously support the surface action while hinting at deeper emotional currents and hidden motivations. During the film's climactic sequences, when Megamind finally abandons his deception and openly confronts his former allies, the music plays a crucial role in supporting the emotional weight of his decision. The score combines elements associated with his villainous past, his heroic present, and his relationships with both old and new allies to create a musical representation of his complex internal journey. The release strategy for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate reflected the evolving landscape of animated film distribution in the streaming era, representing both opportunities and challenges inherent in direct-to-platform releases. Theatrical. Unlike its theatrical predecessor, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate bypassed traditional theatrical distribution entirely, representing a significant shift in how major animated properties reach audiences. This decision reflected both practical considerations related to production budget and quality, as well as strategic choices about audience targeting and market positioning. The absence of a theatrical release eliminated many of the traditional marketing and promotional opportunities that typically accompany major animated films. There were no premiere events, no theatrical marketing campaigns, and no opportunity for the communal viewing experience that often drives word-of-mouth promotion for family entertainment. This meant that the film's success would depend entirely on its ability to attract attention within the crowded landscape of streaming content. However, the direct-to-streaming approach also offered certain advantages. The film could reach international audiences simultaneously without the complexities and costs associated with theatrical distribution across multiple markets. Peacock subscribers could access the content immediately upon release without additional cost, potentially leading to higher viewership numbers than might be achieved through traditional theatrical windows. The decision to forego theatrical release also reflected realistic assessments of the film's production values and market position. Television animation budgets and timelines typically produce content that, while appropriate for streaming and television viewing, may not meet the technical standards audiences expect from theatrical animated releases. By embracing its television origins rather than attempting to compete with theatrical productions, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate positioned itself appropriately within the entertainment marketplace. Home media. The streaming first release strategy for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate meant that traditional home media considerations were largely incorporated into the initial distribution plan rather than serving as a separate release window. Peacock subscribers gained permanent access to the film as part of their subscription, effectively serving many of the functions traditionally filled by home media releases. However, the absence of physical media releases meant that audiences interested in permanent ownership of the film had limited options beyond maintaining active streaming subscriptions. This approach reflected broader industry trends toward digital distribution but also eliminated potential revenue streams and collector appeal that physical releases might provide. The film's integration with the Megamind rules television series complicated traditional home media considerations. Rather than existing as a standalone product, the film served as an entry point into an ongoing content ecosystem that was designed to keep audiences engaged with the Peacock platform over extended periods. For international audiences in markets where Peacock was not available, access to Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate remained limited, highlighting one of the challenges associated with platform-exclusive content. While theatrical releases typically receive international distribution through various partners, streaming exclusives may remain unavailable in certain markets indefinitely. Streaming platform strategy. The exclusive release of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate on Peacock represented a significant investment in original animated content designed to differentiate Universal's streaming service from its competitors. The decision to pair the film with the immediate release of 8 episodes of Megamind Rules created a substantial content drop that provided multiple reasons for audiences to engage with the platform. Peacock's strategy reflected broader industry trends toward using familiar intellectual properties to drive streaming subscriptions. By reviving a beloved DreamWorks property with both nostalgic appeal for adults and contemporary relevance for younger audiences, the platform positioned itself to attract multi-generational viewership that could justify subscription costs across different demographic groups. The March 1, 2024 release date was strategically chosen to maximize impact during a period when audiences might be seeking new family-friendly content. The timing avoided direct competition with major theatrical releases while positioning the content for potential spring break viewing and early-year audience acquisition. The platform's promotion of the film emphasized both its connection to the beloved original and its role as the beginning of an ongoing content series. This dual positioning was designed to satisfy existing fans while encouraging investment in the platform's long-term content offerings. Reception. The critical and audience reception of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate reflected the complex challenges facing legacy animated properties adapted for streaming platforms, revealing significant tensions between audience expectations and production realities. Box office. As a direct-to-streaming release, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate did not generate traditional box office revenues, making financial performance evaluation more complex than would be the case for theatrical releases. Instead of ticket sales, the film's commercial success was measured through streaming metrics, subscription acquisition and retention data, and overall platform engagement statistics. Peacock does not typically release detailed viewership data for original content, making independent assessment of the film's commercial performance challenging. However, industry observers noted that the film's release coincided with increased discussion of the Megamind property across social media platforms, suggesting that it succeeded in generating audience awareness and engagement. The absence of box office data also meant that direct financial comparisons with the original Megamind were impossible. The 2010 film grossed approximately $321 million worldwide against a production budget of $130 million, representing a moderate commercial success that was insufficient to guarantee sequel development under traditional theatrical economics. The streaming model's different financial structures meant that Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate operated under completely different success criteria. Industry analysts suggested that the film's value to Peacock extended beyond immediate viewership to include its role in content library development, brand differentiation, and long-term subscriber retention. The accompanying television series provided ongoing content that could continue generating value long after the initial film release, representing a different approach to intellectual property monetization than traditional sequel strategies. Critical response. The critical reception of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate was overwhelmingly negative, with reviewers consistently citing production quality, storytelling, and creative direction as significant weaknesses compared to the original film and contemporary animated content. On the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film achieved only 9% positive reviews from 11 critics, with an average rating of 2.8 out of 10. This extraordinarily low score placed it among the worst-reviewed animated sequels in recent memory and suggested fundamental problems with the film's execution and conception. Al Mino of RogerRabbit.com provided one of the more measured critical assessments, awarding the film 2 out of 4 stars while noting that it is intermittently funny and briefly heartwarming, as though they ran the original through the washing machine a few times, and then faxed it. Her review captured the sense that while elements of the original's appeal remained present, they had been significantly diluted through the adaptation process. She concluded that compared to the original or to more recent films like Boss Baby and The Bad Guys, it is slapdash and lightweight. Ryan Leston of IGN delivered one of the harshest critical assessments, calling the film a lazy, 14 years too late cash-in on DreamWorks IP and awarding it only 4 out of 10 points. His review emphasized the film's failure to meet basic storytelling standards, noting that it sets up a riotous romp through superhero cliché copyright, but simply fails to deliver. Leston's criticism focused on the film's inability to justify its existence beyond commercial considerations, suggesting that it failed to honor the creative legacy of the original while providing insufficient entertainment value to justify audience investment. The Montana Cayman provided perhaps the most scathing assessment, awarding the film a 0-10 rating and accusing the creators of being small-minded. This extreme negative reaction reflected broader frustrations among critics and audiences who felt that the film represented cynical exploitation of beloved characters and stories without corresponding creative investment or respect for source material. Screen Crash's year-end assessment included Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate on its list of the worst films of 2024. Providing additional evidence of the film's poor critical reception across multiple review outlets. The consistent nature of negative reviews suggested systematic problems with the film's conception and execution rather than subjective disagreements about artistic choices. Industry and creator response director Eric Vogel's response to the negative critical reception demonstrated both professional pride in his team's accomplishments and acknowledgement of the production constraints that influenced the final product. In interviews following the film's release, Vogel stated that he was proud of what the crew was able to accomplish given the project's minuscule budget, which was shared between the film and the accompanying television series. Vogel's defense of the film emphasized the creative challenges involved in working within television animation constraints while attempting to serve multiple storytelling functions. His comments suggested that critics and audiences may not have fully appreciated the practical limitations that shaped creative decisions throughout the production process. The writing team of Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simon similarly defended their work, particularly regarding the controversial decision to recast major voice roles. Their emphasis on Keith Ferguson's extensive experience with the character and the different demands of television versus theatrical performance suggested that some creative choices were more thoughtful than critics acknowledged. However, the creators' responses also revealed tensions between artistic aspirations and commercial realities that may have contributed to the film's problems. The need to serve as both sequel and television pilot, combined with severe budget constraints, created storytelling challenges that may have been insurmountable regardless of creative talent and dedication. Audience reception and social media response beyond professional critical assessment. Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate generated significant discussion among audiences, particularly on social media platforms where fans of the original film expressed their reactions to the sequel. The response was predominantly negative, with many viewers expressing disappointment about production quality, voice acting changes, and perceived disrespect to the original film's legacy. Social media discussions frequently focused on direct comparisons between the 2024 sequel and the 2010 original, with many users posting side-by-side screenshots highlighting differences in animation quality, character design, and visual sophistication. These comparisons consistently favored the original film, reinforcing perceptions that the sequel represented a significant step backward in production values. The voice acting changes, particularly Keith Ferguson's replacement of Will Ferrell as Megamind, became a focal point for audience criticism. Many viewers expressed difficulty adjusting to the new performances, regardless of the actor's technical competence or previous experience with the characters. This reaction suggested that some audience resistance may have been unavoidable given the iconic status of the original performances. However, some audience members defended the film's approach, noting that television animation traditionally operates under different constraints and expectations than theatrical releases. These supporters argued that direct comparisons with the original film were unfair given the dramatically different production contexts and that the sequel should be evaluated as television content rather than theatrical entertainment. Long-term impact and legacy considerations. The negative reception of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate raised questions about the future of the revived franchise and the broader strategy of adapting beloved animated properties for streaming platforms. The film's poor critical reception and mixed audience response suggested that nostalgia alone was insufficient to guarantee success for legacy property revivals. The film's role as pilot for Megamind Rules meant that its reception would likely influence the television series' development and promotion. Negative word of mouth surrounding the film could potentially limit audience interest in the ongoing series, regardless of any quality improvements that might be achieved in subsequent episodes. Industry observers noted that the film's reception highlighted the risks associated with attempting to continue beloved properties without adequate investment and production values and creative development. The contrast between audience expectations established by the original film and the reality of television animation budgets created an almost impossible challenge for the creative team. However, the film's streaming success metrics, while not publicly available, may tell a different story than critical reception suggests. If viewership data demonstrated significant audience engagement despite negative reviews, it could justify continued investment in the property and similar revival projects. The film's inclusion on Worst of Year lists and its consideration for Golden Raspberry Award nomination, though it was ultimately not nominated, ensured that Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate would be remembered primarily for its failures rather than any potential successes. This legacy outcome highlighted the importance of production values and creative integrity in maintaining the reputation of beloved animated properties. Conclusion: Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate stands as a fascinating case study in the challenges and opportunities associated with reviving beloved animated properties for the streaming era. The film's development, production, and reception illuminate broader industry trends while highlighting specific obstacles that arise when attempting to continue stories that achieved success under completely different creative and commercial circumstances. The 14-year gap between the original Megamind and its sequel created inevitable complications that extended far beyond simple narrative continuity. Changes in animation technology, audience expectations, voice cast availability, and distribution models meant that any sequel would necessarily be a fundamentally different type of product than its predecessor. Regardless of creative intentions or financial investment, the production team's decision to embrace television animation standards rather than attempting to match theatrical production values was pragmatically sound but proved problematic in terms of audience reception. Viewers approached the film with expectations established by the original's theatrical release, creating comparison standards that the sequel could not meet given its production constraints. The film's dual role as both sequel and television pilot created additional storytelling challenges that may have compromised its effectiveness in either function. The need to conclude a satisfactory narrative arc while establishing ongoing conflicts and character relationships for the television series required delicate balance that the creative team was unable to achieve successfully. Despite its critical and commercial failures, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate represents an important experiment in intellectual property revival that provides valuable lessons for future projects. The film demonstrates both the potential appeal of beloved characters and stories and the risks associated with inadequate investment and their continuation. The streaming distribution model offered opportunities for reaching audiences without theatrical release costs and complications, but it also eliminated many traditional promotional avenues and communal viewing experiences that contribute to animated film success. The platform-exclusive approach provided certain advantages while creating new challenges related to market access and revenue generation. Ultimately, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate serves as a reminder that successful animated sequels require more than familiar characters and nostalgic appeal. They need adequate production investment, creative vision that honors source material while offering fresh perspectives, and distribution strategies that align audience expectations with production realities. The film's shortcomings in these areas contributed to its poor reception, but they also provide guidance for future attempts to revive beloved animated properties in the streaming era. The legacy of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate will likely be defined by its role as a cautionary tale about the challenges of adapting theatrical properties for television and streaming distribution. While it failed to achieve critical or commercial success, it represents an important chapter in the ongoing evolution of animated entertainment and the complex relationships between creativity, commerce. Review.mindpeacock has released a poster and trailer for Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, the upcoming sequel to DreamWorks' Megamind, which picks up just moments after the events of the 2010 animated movie. Take a look here, along with the poster for the companion spin-off series Megamind Rules. A broken bar. Megamind's former villain team, the Doom Syndicate, has returned. Our newly crowned blue hero must now keep up evil appearances until he can assemble his friends, Roxanne, All-Chum, and Keiko, to stop his former evil teammates from launching Metro City to the moon. The voice cast of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate includes Keith Ferguson as Megamind, Laura Post as Roxanne Ritchie, Josh Breener as All-Chum, Maya Aoki Tuttle as Keiko Morita, Emily Tynan as Lady Doppler, Talon Warburton as Lord Nighty Night, Scott Adsit as Pierre Pressure, Chris Sullivan as Behemoth, Tony Hale as Mel, Mr. Donut, Janine Mason as Cristino Cristo, Adam Lambert as McYovlin. Review. To the original Megamind, released in 2010, was a fresh, funny, and heartwarming animated film with wildly imaginative visuals and A-list voice talent, including Will Ferrell, Tina Fey, Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, and David Cross. 14 years later, this new straight-to-streaming flick is not fresh, with derivative visuals and mostly nondescript voice talent. It is intermittently funny and briefly heartwarming, as though they ran the original through the washing machine a few times, and then faxed it. Its primary purpose is to serve as an infomercial for a new streaming series. Megamind Rules comes to your home screens this month. Since this generation of the intended audience was not born when the first film came out, it begins with a brief recap. Megamind, originally voiced by Farrell, now by Keith Ferguson, was a fiendish villain in Metrocity, which he continues to pronounce to rhyme with atrocity, ably assisted by a tech-savvy fish who lives inside a bowl on top of a robot body. Originally David Cross, here Josh Breener. This character was known as Minion in the original movie but is now renamed All-Chum to avoid confusion with the very popular yellow Minion characters from the Despicable Me cinematic universe. When Megamind created an even more evil supervillain just as Metrocity's beloved Superman-like superhero decided to retire, Megamind found that he could be a hero, and he saved the day, with the help of the city's intrepid television journalist, Roxanne, formerly Faye, now Laura Post. It is a promising setup, as Megamind has to reorient himself to consider the value of helping others and figure out what to do with the bad guys who used to be his colleagues. As the movie begins, he is going after a gang of criminals who dress as fish, though he takes a moment to say, almost wistfully, even admiringly, "It's something the old evil me would have done back in the day." He sighs, "Sometimes I miss the simplicity of the bad old days." He misses even more when the previously devoted All-Chum leaves because Megamind refuses to promote him to sidekick. By himself, Megamind is not even able to figure out how to use his toaster. And then his former gang, the Doom Syndicate, breaks out of prison and he must find a way to convince them that he is still evil while he figures out how to recapture them before they can proceed with their evil plan. He persuades Roxanne to pretend to be his fiancée tilde copyright and partner in crime, and Keiko, Maya Aoki Tuttle, a smart, brave young girl who knows all about newfangled ideas like live streaming and social media, shows Megamind that he can accept help from others. Chum has his own adventures in a diner, but comes back to join the team as well. The Doom Syndicate includes a French mime, a fiery rock monster, a former weather forecaster who can control lightning, and a goth guy who has just changed his name from Lord Knight to Lord Nighty Night and carries a stuffed teddy bear called Mr. Cuddly Snuggles. As this suggests, the film reassures its young audience by making the bad guys and action scenes more silly than scary, along with the ever-popular poop and barf comedy. It is less successful at understanding its intended audience when it comes to some of the verbal humor, not clever enough to entice parents to watch with their children, just out of touch, by a generation or two. Really, jokes about the Titanic movie, Simon and Garfunkel lyrics from the 60s, and nose hair clippers. Even more recent references are unlikely to land with elementary schoolers. When the Doom Syndicate puts on a block party the night before the big plan will go into effect, Megamind complains that he is the victim of an impromptu rager, urges the partygoers to use coasters, and then tells the DJ to put another stanky groove in my pocket. Review. 3 Peacock has finally unveiled the trailer for its upcoming animated film Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, set to premiere on the streamer on March 1, 2024. Apart from the new movie, a new companion series, A Megamind Rules, will also arrive on the streaming service on March 1, produced by DreamWorks Animation. The upcoming film and television show will serve as a follow-up to the 2010 Tom McGraw-directed animated comedy Megamind, which stars Will Ferrell as the voice for the titular supervillain. Watch the Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate trailer below. Watch more trailers. Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate will center on Megamind's efforts to assemble a new team in order to stop his former evil teammates from their villainous plans. The official synopsis reads, Megamind's former villain team, the Doom Syndicate, has returned. Our newly crowned blue hero must now keep up evil appearances until he can assemble his friends, Roxanne, Chum, and Keiko, to stop his former evil teammates from launching Metro City to the moon. On the other hand, the companion series follows the former Villainous. He sets out to be the world's first ever superhero influencer. Who are the voice cast members of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate? Directed by Eric Fogel and written by Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simons, the voice cast for the forthcoming animated feature includes Keith Ferguson as Megamind, Laura Post as Roxanne Ritchie, Josh Breener as Chum, Maya Aoki Tuttle as Keiko Morita, Emily Tynan as Lady Doppler, Talon Warburton as Lord Nighty Night, Scott Adsit as Pierre Pressure, Chris Sullivan as Behemoth, Tony Hale as Mr. Donut, Janine Mason as Cristino Cristo, and American Idol alum Adam Lambert as McYovlin. Review. For the latest addition to the Megamind franchise, Megamind 2, broke onto the scene with an official announcement for its release along with the first trailer. DreamWorks Animation first brought Megamind to life in 2010 behind Saturday Night Live alumni Will Ferrell and Tina Fey. The original animated story became a surprise hit, grossing just over $320 million at the box office, per the numbers, along with the 73% tomatometer rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Megamind 2's first trailer debuts. Peacock shared the first official trailer for Megamind 2, which goes under the title Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate and is set for release on March 1. This comes after the announcement of a new Peacock streaming series titled Megamind Rules, which was confirmed to be in development in March 2023 ahead of its March 1 release date this year. The announcement came with the following synopsis for the sequel film. Megamind's former villain team, the Doom Syndicate, has returned. Our newly crowned blue hero must now keep up evil appearances until he can assemble his friends, Roxanne, Chum, and Keiko, to stop his former evil teammates from launching Metro City to the moon. Megamind 2 will feature Keith Ferguson and Laura Post as Megamind and Roxanne Ritchie, who replace Will Ferrell and Tina Fey from the original movie. Other voice talent includes Chris Sullivan, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, This Is Us, Tony Hale, Veep, Toy Story 4, and singer Adam Lambert. The first trailer for Megamind 2 can be seen below. What will happen in Megamind 2? Peacock is making a unique move by releasing both the Megamind TV series and the sequel to the original movie on the same day, leaving many to wonder what will happen in both projects. At the forefront of this new movie is a difficult challenge for Megamind, as his old crew still believes him to be evil while he continues to move toward the hero's side of the fight. With the film coming straight to streaming more than a decade after its predecessor, it will be difficult to predict how well it will perform, with a new generation of fans diving into the story. Couple that with new voices for the main characters and brand new personalities coming into the saga, and fans will be curious to see exactly how DreamWorks adds to the fan-favorite former villain's legacy. Review. 5 It has been nearly 15 years since the debut of Megamind, the tale of a supervillain mad scientist who becomes an unlikely ally of his city. The DreamWorks film has become something of cult classic since its release, and now, it is branching out into a whole new medium. On Thursday, Peacock debuted the first look at 2 new extensions of the Megamind franchise: a new animated film, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, as well as a new 8-episode companion series titled Megamind Rules, formerly titled Megamind's Guide to Defending Your City. Both the Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules will premiere exclusively on Peacock on Friday, March 1st. Both the Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules will star Keith Ferguson, Robot Chicken, DuckTales, as Megamind, Laura Post, Lego Marvel Avengers, Code Red, as Roxanne Ritchie, Josh Breener, Silicon Valley, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as Chum, Maya Aoki Tuttle, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, Destiny 2, as Keiko Morita, Emily Tynan, Globals Negros, as Lady Doppler, Talon Warburton, Echo Base, as Lord Nighty Night Scott Adsit, Big Hero 6, 30 Rock, as Pierre Pressure, Chris Sullivan, This Is Us, Presence, as Behemoth, Tony Hale, The Mysterious Benedict Society, as Mal, Mr. Donut, Janine Mason, Upload, Roswell, New Mexico, as Cristino Cristo, and Adam Lambert, American Idol, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, Let's Do the Time Warp Again, as Mickey Ovlin. What is Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate about? In Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, Megamind's former villain team, the Doom Syndicate, has returned. Our newly crowned blue hero must now keep up evil appearances until he can assemble his friends, Roxanne, Chum, and Keiko, to stop his former evil teammates from launching Metro City to the moon. In Megamind Rules, Megamind goes from being a supervillain and the scourge of Metro City to a superhero who's learning on the job. He'll be bringing the audience along for the ride, as Megamind's trusty brainbots will be recording everything, making him the world's first superhero influencer. Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simons, who wrote the original 2010 Megamind film, will executive produce Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules, alongside Eric Fogel. What do you think of the first look at Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Review. 6 It's been 14 years since we first saw Will Ferrell's titular blue-craniumed alien drop his supervillain status and go hero while saving Metro City in the DreamWorks animation film Megamind, now streaming on Peacock. Despite being a global box office hit, and ideas being crafted by original screenwriters Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simons, a sequel never actualized. Well, surprise, Megamind and all his Metro City allies and enemies have finally returned for a brand new Peacock-exclusive movie sequel, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, as well as an 8-episode follow-up series, Megamind Rules. For more formed DreamWorks animation, supervillain turned superhero Megamind returns for DreamWorks sequel, TV series on Peacock. Trolls and Mummies and Dragons, oh my. The 5 best animated kids shows on Peacock: Shrek, The Boss Baby, and more. The 10 best DreamWorks animation movies. What is Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate about? The movie picks up right where the 2010 film left off, with Megamind, now voiced by Keith Ferguson, still fresh from his hero turn and trying to enthusiastically embrace his good guy status. He's still got his loyal sidekick, Chum, Josh Breener, previously known as Minion, and reporter Roxanne Ritchie, Laura Post, in his corner. Plus, a new fan eager to become his social media manager is along for the ride, the young and savvy Keiko Morita, Maya Aoki Tuttle. Alas, Megamind doesn't get much time to reorientate himself, because his old posse, the Doom Syndicate AA featuring Lady Doppler, Lord Nighty Night, Pierre Pressure, Behemoth, and others arrive in town to try and turn their former boss back to the evil side. At the end of the film, Megamind and his even bigger circle of allies and enemies have more adventures in the sequel series, Megamind Rules. What happens at the end of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate? After some major battles with the villains, Megamind and his team put the Doom Syndicate away in Metro City's prison. Roxanne Ritchie decides that she can better serve her community as the mayor of Metro City, and proceeds to win the quickest election ever to ascend to the top of City Hall. Keiko has also proven herself to be a valuable asset to both Megamind and the city, so she continues to assist the new mayor, Chum, and Megamind in fighting evil. Together as the Metro City Protectors, they light up the brand new Megamind sky symbol that will summon the Cobalt Champion when the city needs him most. Meanwhile, in Metro City's prison, the Doom Syndicate is squabbling about their defeat until an even bigger threat busts through the wall to let them out. It's the disembodied brain in a glass jar. Machiavelin, Adam Lambert, the diabolical former mentor of Megamind, is back to do nefarious deeds against his former protege in the 8-episode sequel series, Megamind Rules. What's going to play out in the series, Megamind Rules? The explosive reveal of Machiavelin at the very end of Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate has been a long time coming. Writers Alan Schoolcraft and Brent Simons told Sci-Fi Wire that they've been waiting for the big reveal going back to the original Megamind movie. "We've waited 15 years to show people Machiavelin," Simons shared. "We just loved the idea of the character when we came up with them, and we've just waited so long. This movie is really us biting our gums just wanting to get to him. We can't wait for the audience to see him and Adam Lambert play him." In terms of dastardly behavior, Schoolcraft said that Machiavelin represents a major level up in Megamind trying to commit to his more heroic path. The Doom Syndicate was like your old college frat buddies that have showed up. They're easier to move away from that group. But when we introduced Machiavelin, who used to be Megamind's mentor, it's different now. It's a father figure, he said of the new threat. That's a much different dynamic, and somebody you don't want to disappoint. It opens up a whole new world of emotions that Megamind is going to have to deal with. Schoolcraft continued. His story is also important because there is an arc for the whole 8 episodes that comes to a big conclusion. Every week is not how are we defeating Machiavelin, there's a progression and build up to the final episode, aside from Megamind Rules. Introducing lots of new threats, the series will also expand upon many of the new characters and neighborhoods introduced in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. Side characters become more important and Metro City isn't just a backdrop. It's a living, breathing place, which was an exciting opportunity, Simon said, and one honestly you wouldn't get if you made a feature film because the instinct is always to make things bigger. With TV, you have the opportunity to make things deeper, because you have more time. Review. 7 It's not easy being mean. As it turns out, though, being a hero isn't a walk in the park either. In the 2010 animated movie Megamind, the titular supervillain realized that maybe, being a villain isn't so super after all. The blue, big-brain genius decided instead to become Metro City's newest hero, protecting its citizens from evil rather than being that evil himself. Now, following his adventure in Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate, which serves to set up the sequel series, Megamind is back, and he's starting to see that there's a lot more to this gig than he thought. He'll have to figure out the ways of the internet, although he should probably start by learning to call it the internet instead, keep up with the up-and-coming heroes who want to run him out of business, and also deal with the crime syndicate terrorizing Metro City. Hey, if the right thing to do was always easy, everyone would be doing it, right? The original Megamind told a charming story about the villain learning to stand up for good. For the most part, Megamind Rules keeps this theme rolling, albeit with a few setbacks. A major element of this sequel story is Megamind building a social media presence with the help of his sidekick, Keiko. Heavy emphasis is placed on gaining views, followers, and going viral. Megamind begins to film vlogs documenting his everyday life and superhero antics, hoping to gain popularity in Metro City. Of course, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of this, but the show's fixation on social media image doesn't exactly set a great example for younger viewers. In terms of other content issues, parents can, mostly, rest easy. Action is limited to mild mayhem such as explosions and brief fistfights. Blood and violence aren't a problem here. Dang and butt are likely the worst instances of language kids will come across. Thematically, however, things are a bit trickier. Episodes can vary from great, everyone makes mistakes, even superheroes, to not so great, the person we are depends on who we want to be. In short, picking an episode of Megamind rules at random could result in a fun, harmless adventure about choosing good over evil, or it could be about the importance of making your latest vlog go viral. There's plenty to appreciate about Megamind's small screen debut, but be aware your parents should know about some potentially adverse messages before reintroducing their kids to Metro City's unlikely hero. Episode reviews March 1, 2024. AS1, E1, Megamind vs. the Dude Monkey. Having just embarked on his superhero career, Megamind is threatened by a new, more popular hero named Dude Monkey. To keep up, Megamind decides to learn the ways of social media to gain internet popularity. A few instances of action and mayhem take place. Megamind blows up the doors of a grocery store to stop the robbery. He tends to do this a lot when entering buildings. Can you tell he likes a dramatic entrance? And Dude Monkey uses his martial arts skills to beat up the criminal. A fight at an aquarium results in similar explosions and hand-to-hand combat, though no one is ever actually hurt during these battles. Megamind announces his intent to beat Dude Monkey to an internet pulp. Speaking of the internet, Megamind's main goal throughout the episode is to achieve Dude Monkey's level of social media fame. He films himself saving people and talking to the camera about his heroic acts, obsessing over his views and follower count. In the end, he succeeds in going viral by accidentally uploading footage of his embarrassing moments from crime fighting, and he realizes the importance of showing that anyone can make mistakes. His investment in his social media following is never criticized or shown in a negative light. Megamind says he's going to knock Dude Monkey's channel on its weird monkey butt. He almost refers to the secretary of his friend Roxanne Ritchie as the secretary of party pooping and uses the expression "what in Hades hamper." March 1, 2024. AS1, E2. The villainous origin of Mr. Donut. After accidentally knocking Mr. Donut, a local donut store owner, into a vat of icing, Megamind hurries to ensure that he didn't accidentally create a supervillain. Mild action is found in this episode. Mr. Donut accidentally shoots a laser gun around a bank, causing explosions and chaos as civilians flee and scream. Megamind and his sidekick, Chum, are held over a pool of sharks while caught in a net. Megamind hallucinates that a donut is begging him to eat it, saying "my sweet flesh is yearning for those pearly chompers." Megamind makes a joke about being tortured. Mr. Donut claims that he lets fate guide him in his decisions, and the bad guy claims that fate is telling him he was born to be a villain. However, Megamind later convinces Mr. Donut to make his own choices, saying that the kind of person we are comes down to the decisions we make. Lauren Cook is serving as a 2021 summer intern for the Parenting and Youth Department at Focus on the Family. She is studying film and screenwriting at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. You can get her talking for hours about anything from Star Wars to her family to how Inception was the best movie of the 2010s. But more than anything, she's passionate about showing how every form of art in some way reflects the gospel. Coffee is a close second. Review. 8 DreamWorks 2010 comedy Megamind is finally getting a sequel, but the continuation of the movie could actually make the original worse. Megamind follows the story of a supervillain, Will Ferrell, trying to become a hero after defeating his nemesis. The movie had plenty of good jokes, and it's centered around a heartfelt theme. that people can change for the better if given the chance. Megamind's humor and message proved it was one of DreamWorks' most underrated movies and helped make it one of the best movies on Peacock, even though it didn't perform well at its release. According to Box Office Mojo, Megamind had a solid performance in theaters, making over $321 million worldwide against a budget of $130 million. That profit wasn't enough to inspire a sequel, though, as the movie Megamind is often compared to Despicable Me, made significantly more with a smaller budget. Megamind seemed doomed to be a standalone movie for over a decade, but a new announcement is reviving the franchise. While more of the villain-turned-hero's story is being told, the sequels might make Megamind's disappointing reception even worse. Megamind 2 should get a theatrical release after the first movie's cult following. Both the sequel film and the TV show will debut on Peacock recently. Peacock announced it will release a new Megamind movie and show, Megamind vs. The Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules. The movie will be set directly after the events of the original Megamind and lead directly into the show. The new entries will be released directly onto Peacock, with no theatrical release planned. Megamind deserved a sequel after becoming so beloved, but it should have been a theatrical release, and a straight-to-streaming release is disappointing to many of the franchise's dedicated fans. Both the Megamind vs. The Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules will be available to stream on Peacock on March 1. While the original Megamind deserved better in 2010, it was overshadowed by the similar Despicable Me. Megamind featured great voice work from a star-studded cast that included Will Ferrell and Tina Fey, who helped make it a hilarious movie with many clever jokes that still hold up years later. Megamind's jokes can be enjoyed by children and adults alike, which helped it remain relevant for years after its release. It also offered a solid story that provided a great parody of the superhero genre and delivered a wholesome message. Megamind had a great formula and gained a cult following, and it deserved success, but success could never came, mostly due to uncontrollable circumstances. While it had a lot of positives, Megamind also suffered from some problems that were beyond its control, causing it to have an underwhelming performance at the box office. Despicable Me was released 3 months before Megamind, and the film's villainous main characters and redemption stories were too similar for Megamind to stand out. It also had other huge releases to contend with that year, such as Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Tangled. Carving out space at the box office among such a deep list of hit movies proved to be too difficult for Megamind. Is Megamind's switch to streaming a good thing for animation? If proven a hit on Peacock, a theatrical release is still possible. Streaming services can be a mixed bag for animation, and Megamind releasing exclusively on Peacock may not be the best decision for the medium. The new movie and television show could introduce a new generation to the Megamind franchise, and streaming will make it available to an even wider audience, which would be a good thing. However, streaming-only releases can delegitimize animation and make it seem less important than theatrical releases. Debuting Megamind directly on Peacock could give the impression that the franchise is just for kids, which is far from the truth. Despite the problems with Megamind vs. The Doom Syndicate, there is still a way for the franchise to do right by the original. Bringing the original cast back together for a theatrical release would deliver the sequel Megamind deserved. Megamind vs. The Doom Syndicate might actually help the chances of that happening, as it could renew interest in the series and help bridge the 14-year gap since the first movie was released. While Peacock's new movie and show might not be the sequel Megamind fans expected, it also doesn't extinguish hope for a theatrical release.